Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a cool 46 degrees here in Roseville, California. And if you saw my last video, which you can watch right here, you'll know that I just bought a new car. It's a 2020 Honda Civic Si Coupe. It only has 100-something miles on it right now. We are going to properly break in this car. This is going to be the first of two videos that I'm going to explain how I am going about the break-in process for city and highway driving, because I have to drive on the highway to get to work and back. And part of breaking in a new car is to not keep the engine at the same RPM for an extended period of time. And that, I mean, that's like maybe a minute or more, according to ChrisFix. So I'm gonna start it up. It's really cold, so I'm probably gonna give it like a minute before I even take off. If it was below freezing, I would definitely give it more than a minute. All right, so we are going to run some errands right now in town, and I'm going to check the owner's manual to see exactly how we should be breaking in this car. I have been treating it very nicely for its first 165 miles, which is what it has right now. But we're gonna take a look at what Honda recommends. Wow, okay. So this is all that Honda says in their owner's manual. I think you guys can see that right there. It says, during the first 600 miles of operation, avoid sudden acceleration or full throttle operation so as not to damage the engine or powertrain. So I was under the assumption that it was going to be 500 miles, so that's very good to know. And then the only other thing it says about breaking it in is avoid hard braking for the first 200 miles. You should also follow this when the brake pads are replaced. Sure. Hey guys, sorry for the change up. I had to go and re-record this video because the GoPro is picking up a rattle noise. So we're gonna take off. So the first thing I'm doing is making sure that I do not exceed 4,000 RPM. When you have a brand new engine, you have all brand new parts that need to be worn in properly. So there's still a little bit of like swirls on the cylinder walls from the factory. And as the cylinders go like this, up and down inside the inline-4 engine, it'll slowly start to wear in your cylinder walls. And that determines how well your piston rings seat inside the cylinder. So it's very important to be easy, but not too easy. You need to drive it like a regular car. Just don't beat on it. Because under a high load like that with brand new parts, you just don't want to take a chance at ruining the way all the parts come together. So I'm just taking the car through a little neighborhood area right here, doing some stop and go. I figure this is a good way to break in the brake pads as well as the engine and transmission. So one, I'm not going to exceed 4,000 RPM during the break-in period of 600 miles for the engine. Two, I'm not going to give it more than 50% throttle. So actually the 10th generation Civic Si from 2017 to current, which is 2020, you can actually display how much throttle pressure you are applying, as well as brake pressure in PSI. So on the left here, I don't think you guys can see that, but on the left here, it shows me a gauge that displays a percentage of the throttle input. So I'll bring it right up to 50 right now because I got a boogie. So if you're watching this video, you are probably a car person, and you're most likely aware that the C8 Corvette is coming out. One of the first people to drive and review the C8 Corvette was actually Jay Leno. And the link to that video is in the description if you haven't seen it. It's a really good video. But Jay had on one of the chief engineers for the new C8 Corvette, and the engineer was actually explaining to him that they are, from the factory, General Motors is limiting the power of the C8 Corvette for the first 500 miles by about 15%. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there's a reason why they're doing that. They're doing that because it's a healthy way to break in your new car. You can't just take a new car with 10, 20, 100, 200 miles and just start going at it. You can't take it right to the track. That's not going to result in a long-lasting engine. And I've never had to do this before. This is my first brand new car, and I really want to make sure that it lasts me a long time and everything's healthy. Another thing, this is a turbocharged car, and that just means that there are more components than a naturally aspirated engine. You have the intercooler, turbo, all these different parts that the oil needs to get to and circulate through and warm up properly. So we need to make sure that with our new cars, we're letting them warm up properly. We're letting them get up to operating temperature before we even think about beating on them. That's 3,500 RPM in second and third gear. So aside from all that, if you're new to my channel, I am going to be tuning this car with a couple modifications, intake, exhaust, some really easygoing stuff at first. Maybe try to put down another 20, 30 horsepower to the wheels. I'm not trying to make this thing a monster. It's only a 1.5 liter engine, so I'm really not trying to push that to its absolute limits. Maybe one day down the road when I have more subscribers and I can actually make money off YouTube, I'll use that money to recirculate into, you know, modifying and pushing my cars really to the limit to produce, you know, some cool content, but I can't afford to do that right now. So within my means, I'm gonna deck this car out. And if you guys want to follow along, please subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Send this to somebody who is purchasing a new car so they understand what it's like to actually break it in, what that actually means. And that'll do it for today, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.